Now let's get you up and running to create your first project and submit some samples to it. So first we're going to click into the project and sample management screen and select Create New Project. We can enter any name we want. In this case we'll use Run Manager Example Project. And then we'll select an account to associate this with. An account is equivalent to an external lab or customer that is associated with the project and the samples. Then we select a contact from that account. In this case, we're going to create a new contact called Joe Smith. And then we're going to save our changes, thereby creating the project. Now when we scroll down, we see that this project contains no samples because we've just created it. Now let's talk about downloading an example sample sheet and creating and populating that sample information to upload into Clarity Run Manager. The sample sheet example is an Excel document that we can open and edit. And here we've got the ability to create up to 96 samples at one time and also fill out a bit of meta information on each of those samples. Starting with sequencing method, all of this information will be used at various steps within Clarity Run Manager to provide context when working with samples. We can enter sequencing coverage and also the path to the reference genome, particularly for the MiSeq. There's an option that allows you to assemble against reference genomes against individual samples within a pool, and this value is used to specify which reference genome to use. Whether or not the sample is intended to be pooled with others, and what is the application? Typically, what kit is being used to prepare these libraries? And then finally, read length, which gives us an indication when it comes time to pool samples that we want to pool samples together that at least have a similar desired sequencing read length. Now I've finished filling out information from 96 of my samples. Now let's return to Clarity Run Manager and upload this file. So select Upload Sample Sheet, browse to the location of the file on your computer, and upload it. Upon upload, those samples will be created. Here we see that we've created 96 samples in our example project. If we hover over the information icon, we can see all of the meta information that we populated in the sample sheet. And if we ever need to modify any of that information, we can simply click the Modify Samples button to re-download the sample sheet and modify the information using a spreadsheet application and re-uploading it. Alright, now let's talk about assigning samples to a workflow so that we can actually work on them in Clarity Run Manager. So in the sample list, you can shift-click, control-click, command-click on Windows and Mac to create your sample selection. Here I'm going to select 96 samples and drag them over to the workflow assignment target. Now I select from two of the active workflows in the system. In this case, we're going to set up a MiSeq run, so we select MiSeq Run Manager workflow and assign the samples to them. We now see a workflow badge listed on each of the individual samples, and you can remove those by clicking on the X from individual samples. And then on the right hand side, we see a badge for the entire workflow with all 96 listed, and if you want to undo an assignment to all 96 samples, you can simply click the X. Once samples have been run through a step, you can no longer remove them from a workflow. Now, when we return to the lab view, in the available work, we see our 96 samples queued and waiting for the first step in the workflow, create plates.